Good morning, Amber Marie here. I am stopping in at First Church of the Nazarene downtown this morning. Pastor Marcia had reached out and said she had some presents for us, so really excited to touch base with her, love on her. I did want to share a revelation that I had this morning. Just coming back from the Redwoods last week with my son Jack, and being, just in God's creation, all about the nature, very little of man's input or imprint, in that place. And now I come back home and I have a handful of redwoods right on my front porch along a green belt, and then there's a main road. So these redwoods, I ensure that they get extra water when we are in times of drought. But even then, the cherry blossom trees next to them, there were 3. Now we're down to 1 original and 2 babies. They struggled. They were getting direct sun and not nearly enough water. And these redwoods take precedence. They've been here for so long that they take precedence. So I care extra for our redwoods because I noticed all of our neighbors, the top would snap off. They were literally losing the top, and quite a top. The entire Christmas tree would be the top. Heavy winds came. I also noticed, I believe it was last year or the last 2 years, when the rains came, the storms came, very old trees were being just right uprooted. And that is telling of how truly thirsty they are. So I'm in the forest this last week, moisture everywhere. Within 3 minutes, my bangs are curly. And every single tree had a top. And not only do they have a top, these trees were incredibly tall, incredibly sound. And as you look around, you can tell that some over the years have fallen. And it speaks to God's creation. I think this is the year for us to heed warnings, to heed guidance by observing and honoring more of God's creation. We go up to what hasn't been sucked dry by men, and we stand in God's creation. We see these trees have endured for thousands of years because they remain in community. When man tries to manipulate a community through isolation, such as my trees out front, in these communities, the trees ultimately lose their heads. Okay, so there's little rules. Well, the trees have to be in 3s or in 2s or in 4s or whatever. No, that is still not by God's design. So I just want to encourage you that this year, see the things that can't be seen. Observe more closely to creation as it was designed. And I think by paying special attention, it will speak to any things going on in your environment that maybe you would like to change or become more aware of, or heal things, right? Because we are looking for the perspective shift in this fallen world. We are looking for God's grace for Him through His creation. We're seeking His voice through the Word of God, which stands throughout time, just like those trees standing in community. They all have their heads, and eventually one does fall. Eventually one does get struck by lightning and it falls to the ground, but it continues to serve the community that sheltered it and braved the storms with it throughout all the years that it did stand. So not all is lost, but I think we do need to take a look at community. What is that to us? Have we isolated ourselves in a group of 3, hoping for the best, and then when the windstorm comes, we lose our head? Is that what we're doing? Or are we being called back to God's design? 2 or more, yes, it's powerful. But what about 100 or more? 1,000 or more? 1,000,000 or more? Standing together for such a time as this? Blessings.